video, I will be recording a face frame combined with a balayage. Why? Because it gives you a beautiful soft transition from light to dark. I will color it according to the latest trend, teddy brown and teddy blonde. I will also use some beautiful formulas for this in the video. If you want to order the products I use from Kiss, you can easily do so via the Kiss app. As you can see, this doll has already been cut. I will post this video, the butterfly haircut, on my YouTube channel next week.
I start with a zigzag section, and those zigzags are about 3 centimeters deep. Well, in each zigzag, I also place a little tail. You can see that here, and I do that because it gives me a soft balayage transition, especially in the darker hair. I section off the contours because I want to place the face frame there, but I let it extend a bit further just behind the ear. You can see that here too. Not in the nape area, because I want it to run a bit darker there, but I really want to fully lighten the face frame. When you section the contour line on the client, you'll actually have less hair in your foil, but I'm working on a doll head and it's just very thickly set with hair at the contour edge, so my section is also very thick. So be careful when you do this on your client. Don't take such a thick section, make it really finer. But yes, it also works better on a real client than on a doll head. I am now using Snow White with 9% of Kiss. And I really have to make an effort to press the Snow White into the hair so that the entire hair is lifted. And you also apply the color right up to the contour line. You apply it there. When you think the face frame is just a bit too intense, you can also choose to weave this section, leaving a bit more natural hair in between. And then the overall look is just a bit softer. But since you work very closely with your client, I am in favor of applying the entire section. So I apply one side of my face frame with 3 sections, and shortly I'll also apply it with 3 foils on the other side. So I have 6 foils in total. When you are applying this face frame on your client, it's easiest to stand in front of them. That you work with your foils in that way. Otherwise, your tails will get in the way too, and later you can fold them aside so the client can still see. I just mentioned that I use Kiss's Snow White together with 9%, but that doesn't mean I will always use that on the client. Because always consider how much you need to lighten the hair, and then work with as low a hydrogen peroxide as possible. Look, I know that this shade lightens a bit more difficultly, so I need a slightly higher percentage of hydrogen peroxide. But when I do this technique on the client, then it might very well be that I use it with 3% instead of 6 or 9. It's also better to leave the bleach on a little longer with a lower hydrogen peroxide than when you just use too high a hydrogen peroxide, and that you would blow up the hair. And we certainly don't want that because we are aiming for the quality of the hair. To shorten the film a bit, I cut out a section because the other side of the face frame is an exact copy of the side I showed you. So now I start with the tails, and you already saw me grab the water spray. When I do such a tail balayage, no matter how small the strand is, I will always do this on damp hair, because then you can spread it out beautifully. What I do is the point. I fully commit to it. Then I press it in a bit harder with my color board, but there will always be natural hair left over towards the elastic band for that beautiful, soft transition. Otherwise, the face frame can be quite prominent, and I don't want that. I really want it to be a bit softer. So I apply this completely. I turn it around so that I also cover the underside of my elastic band. And then the foil I apply, I don't fold it too tightly, at least not too hard. Look, I'll secure it at the bottom for a moment, but at the top I'll just leave it open, because I don't want to get any streaks or spots. So I'm going around the contour edge. But you'll notice shortly at the bottom that I'm not going to apply it to the entire tail. Why? I want it to blend softly into a darker section in the neck area. So I do want some lightening in the neck area, because that's what we're seeing at the moment. We do have some lightening in the neck area, but I want it to blend more softly. Even when you wear it in a ponytail, you don't want a very harsh highlight. You want it to blend softly. So here I've gone a bit further than with my little tails. But look, I'm cleaning my board now. And I'm doing that very deliberately because I want the bottom of my tail. I don't want to color it in the neck area. So now I'm only going to work on the top. So I'm applying my Snow White bleach. And then you'll see shortly when I lift my section. Look, there's nothing there. And that's exactly the intention. Because then I get more depth in the neck area with a soft lightening. So I apply all the little ponytails around in the same way, both on the top and the bottom. I press the color all the way through to the tip. And I make sure that the natural color remains up to the elastic band. Only here with the bottom two in the neck area, I ensure my board is clean. Otherwise, I would still have bleach on the bottom of my ponytail. Then I apply the bleach. Even at the tip, I don't press it too hard all the way through. And then the bottom stays nice and clean from the bleach. And that's how I apply those bottom two. The sectioning of the color, well, that takes a few minutes. But eventually applying the color itself. You're done in 20-25 minutes. I let it sit for 45 minutes, and so I use the Snow White with 9%. From here, I can beautifully start using teddy brown colors, and that's completely the trend at the moment. I'm going to work with two colors from the Soft Shades by Kiss, the ammonia-free coloring. So I first section off the lighter part. I've prepared two formulas, for the lighter part and for the darker part. I have the 0.05T from the Soft Shades with the 0.09 GB. Here you can see them. I mix them and then together with DMI. For those who haven't seen my previous video yet and are already using our Soft Shades colors, they will see that I mixed it with the DMI instead of with the Soft Shades activator. I do that very consciously, and because it is also possible, because our substance is just a bit thicker and easier to apply with the brush. But when you use the Soft Shades with the bottle, I would say go ahead and use the Soft Shades activator, because then your substance is a bit thinner. I initially apply all the dark hair with the 0.05T, then finish with the 0.09 GB. And from there, I can then proceed to apply the lighter section shortly. Now, be sure not to touch the lighter section with your fingers when working with the dark color, but you can clearly see the transition here. Then I move on to the next little recipe. And that is the 0.07T combined with the 0.09G along with DMI. You can also observe them here. And that really gives you that beautiful teddy brown. So I work with two colors from the Soft Shades to create that teddy brown. One is a deeper brown color and the other is a lighter teddy brown. But if the Soft Shades touch each other, it's really not a problem because it all blends beautifully together. And those two colors can touch each other too. Just be careful when you're really working in the lighter section. And for example, if you have the darker color on your gloves, make sure to clean your gloves with a towel so you don't get too much dark in your face frame, because that would be a shame. And of course, we're going to color the face frame again, because the teddy brown is really at a color level, 7, 8 in the lighter section. And on the rest of the hair, I'm at a color level, yes, 6. Of course, I've mixed the 5 and the 9 together. When you mix the colors with the Soft Shades, you always have to keep in mind that your darker color is always a bit more dominant. So even though I'm mixing a 5 and a 9 level together, mix, yes, then I really do come out a bit darker, more like a level 7 color. So you always take that into account when mixing your Soft Shades. Of course, I've now chosen those teddy brown shades because they're all the rage right now. But yes, you could fill this in with all sorts of colors. This technique underneath is what we did first. Look, the beauty is you have that slightly harder face frame, but then you have that soft balayage that transitions into the darker shade. It's just a really nice, soft transition. But I could also choose to color this technique with the cowboy copper or stay beautifully in the blonde. It's entirely up to your own creativity. Well, here you see me wiping things off with my gloves on the towel, because I don't want to end up completely in the light with that dark color, so you have to keep that in mind a little, but otherwise you'll see me just stacking all the strands on top of each other. You don't need to put any foils in between. The only thing you do is take a transparent foil for the bottom, purely to protect the client's skin from the color. I let the soft shade sit for 20 minutes. I rinsed it out, and from here I can start blow drying it. As you can see, this doll head has already been cut. And I also recorded that one, but I will post it a week later than this film. So, I cut the butterfly haircut into it, and that's how I'm going to blow dry it. I first section off the ponytail, and that's where I really start styling. I use the hair mousse from yesterday, a nice firm mousse that allows me to style this blow dry model well. As you can see, pull it forward well to get that butterfly feel with those curtain bangs. So you blow dry it low and forward. Then you have the tip, which you've already twisted away, and then you split it in two. And then you take your brush and twist one side to the left and the other to the right to really get that butterfly feel. Now you can already see the color coming out beautifully. Really that light teddy brown at the front, at the back, the darker teddy brown. And do you see that beautiful soft transition? That's really because I placed that balayage behind it with those little tails. So you don't get such a harsh transition from light to dark, but it blends very softly. Now I'm going to go over it with the curling iron. Then I use the Kera spray from Kiss, a very gentle working spray, but ideal for use with your curling iron. And now I'm also using a really thick one. Oh my, sometimes I wonder why I say such silly words, but I don't edit it out. I just leave it in. So I'm using a really thick curling iron. And then I just give it that swing backward. I take that with me. Look, here you can see the color palette coming through beautifully. I must say, I really think it's a beautiful trend for this period. It's just a little different from the cowboy copper we've seen now. And that whole golden blonde, it's just beautifully fitting for the autumn-winter season. I use 8 passes to do this whole crazy styling with the curling iron. Then I lightly touch it with my finger, and we end up with that beautiful face frame balayage in teddy brown. We've got it again. And yes, I personally think it's a very beautiful trend that you can apply very well in the salon. Give a thumbs up under my video, because I really enjoy noticing that everything is resonating so well with you all, with all the new techniques. Enjoy watching.